due west, a little place called DeWitt. And we're kind of northwest of Lansing. We're at the farm of Jack and Bee Enderle. Dr. Ben Bartlett is also with us. Livestock Extension Specialist, Michigan State University. His work takes place well up into the Upper Peninsula area. But we're here to talk about cattle and a special program. Jack, I do like your Charolais cattle.
Thank you.
How many head?
We have 42 calves last year and 51 should calve this year.
But like so many of us, income from off the farm
Yes.
with Lansing being so close.
Yeah, work in Lansing at General Motors.
How many acres here?
We have 170 we own and rent 18 acres.
But son John, pretty much involved as well.
John does the work, yeah.
We are here, really, Ben, because of the fact that Jack and John and Bee involved in what I'm going to call a practical management program for beef producers in the state of Michigan, whether they're purebred or commercial.
That's correct.
What's it called? What's it about?
Okay, it's our IRM, Integrated Resource Management Program, and it's a program that's, well, it's been around for a few years in terms of the National Cattlemen's Association has an IRM program, and this is Michigan's beginning. We're just getting started underway here, but we've kind of customized the program for Michigan producers because, as you mentioned, we have a lot of producers that are part-time. We don't have a lot of 500 cow full-time operations in Michigan.
And you were sharing, as we were discussing, walking around looking at the cattle, Ben, that no matter the size of your operation, no matter whether you're purebred or commercial, this program can be valuable to the producer.
Exactly. We have people, we'll start our first full year in '93, and we have herds as small as 7 cows signed up for the program.
So, thus far, getting underway in '91, how many head of cattle have you been looking at this point?
Well, in '91, we ran a pilot trial, and we had close to 500 cows involved in that pilot trial in 4 herds. They were from 25 to 250, 300 cows.
And a nominal fee of only $25 a herd per year. What does the beef producer get from this program? What can he achieve from this program?
Well, in the past, and I think I can make a good analogy to the way we've selected cattle, we at times kind of got on a single trait selection, looking for one thing. And the way we've managed our beef herds, we've tended to look for maximum weaning weight or some other one thing maximizing. And IRM is Integrated Resource Management, where we're looking at a program that'll cause you to look at all the resources on your beef farm and how you're mixing them and matching them and putting them together to achieve your goals for your farm. And we're in particularly looking at, of course, how the cows are doing. And we want to look at your feed resources, your forage, because that's the strength of beef cows, and in Michigan we raise a lot of forage. That's what we're trying to merchandise with these cows. And of course we want to look at the investment and the financial picture, but we look at all 3 of them all at once to try to get a combination view of what's happening on your operation.
Jack, in that, there's a lot of emphasis to forage. I jotted down, you turned out 42 cows averaging 1,400 pounds, calves averaging 200 pounds. There were 41 calves. That was May 15th. You took them off September the 15th. Is this causing you to look at your forage program like perhaps never before?
Yes, it is. In fact, we'll have a weight date on the calves, too, so we know exactly what to do later on after we take them off pasture.
So you feel from that farmer's point of view was worth the effort, because I also know Ben had you to give them a good estimate of the pounds of hay that were baled, and you do them round bales and square bales as well.
Mm-hmm. That's the hard part, though, is estimating how much forage we're getting off the field. And like Ben said earlier, maybe we'll be able to tell with the quantity of meat we're getting, the poundage from the cattle.
Ben, I'm curious, do you look at pasture in a dry matter or wet matter? How do you measure it?
Well, we think pasture's a crop, and we look at it in dry matter basis so that we can pounds of dry matter per acre. We're just looking at a way to get some estimation of how much feed that farmer's harvesting.
All right, how much feed will, or how much pasture will a beef cow consume?
Well, what we're doing is to come up with some kind of harvested pasture yield is we assigned a 30 pounds of dry matter per cow per day, every day she's out there on pasture.
Have you learned from it in the program that you're going to do some things here different in 93 that you can improve production?
Well, one of the things we're going to take a look at is maybe trying to get a better growth by putting more nitrogen on in the form of urea.
You're already into intensive grazing. I'm glad to see that.
Yes.
How has it worked?
Excellent for us because we feel we get a lot more production by rotating the cows around. They won't come back to a pasture. When we take them off, they won't be back for about 35 days, back to that pasture.
You have a bunker here, and John was showing us, and you were showing us as well. Is that first cutting haylage?
All first cutting, yes. We take it off right away so that we can sell the second, third cutting.
But you were saying Johnny was even doing some baling the day before Christmas.
Yeah. It wasn't the best weather this year to get stuff up in the fall, and we put up some corn stalks too, because just before Christmas also.
Saw a number of round bales of corn stalks. How do they work for you?
Well, we use them for bedding, and the cattle pick in them a little bit and get some food value, but mainly it's to keep them up out of the mud. We got lots of that this year.
Another thing, we saw a beautiful load of square-baled alfalfa.
That's for horses. We can't afford to feed our cows that.
Dr. Ben Bartlett, great to have you on. Jack Enderley, nice to be at your farm here in Clinton County, Michigan. Stay with us now because the Etzlers of near Van Wert, Ohio, they're going to show us their 8-sheep hitch. What's coming up on Agri Country right after this?
In Ward County, where I'm visiting with Marilyn and Ed Etzler, and we're going to talk about a sheep hitch. And Marilyn, as I understand it, an 8-sheep hitch. How unique is that?
Well, there are 3 of us in the whole country who drive sheep. We have 8. There's one in Arizona that has 6, and one in California that has 12. But we're the only Hampshire teams.
What do you use this sheep hitch for?
Well, we go to parades and to festivals, or anywhere that they want us. You know, we're sponsored usually, and we like to show people what wool is really like, and we let them touch the sheep, and the sheep like that. They like the attention, and they like music, especially band music.
When do you actually start working with those lambs that will become a part of the hitch?
Well, when they're lambs, we start teaching them to lead with a halter. And then when they're yearlings, we start working with them. But they really don't come into the hitch until they're 2 years old. And this is the 3rd set of 8 that we've had. Our lead team now is 8 years old. And the youngest ones, we have 3 that are 4 years old, and the others are in between.
What's the most important thing that you have to teach that lamb that'll become a part of the hitch?
Well, we have to teach them to lead. They have to learn to get along with people. They have to learn that they can't be afraid all the time. And they have to learn to listen, because they do understand a lot. They know their names, and they know the commands that Ed gives them. And they like attention. The more you praise them, the better they do, just like children, you know.
Ed, Marilyn's talked about the training process. How long does it actually take to train them?
It takes about 3 months, although it's spread out over a 2-year period, because we have to teach them to lead, and then by the time they're yearling, we put the harnesses on them, and then we put them in hitch at 2 years, because if we put them in as yearlings, we do find out it stunts their growth just a little bit.
And why is it that you use wethers?
Well, we used to use ewes, and they do have a few habits that we don't like to have out in the public anymore. Since we know the wethers do work, they do work all year. Where ewes, we used to take them back out and for the lambing season and everything. So that is the reason we went to wethers. I think they're a little stronger too as far as that goes.
How long will a lamb or a sheep stay a part of the hitch?
They can stay. We've had them at 10 years old. However, if in the last 15 years the sheep have been getting bigger, and if we think we got a bigger one than what we have in a hitch, why, we'll replace it.
How much do the sheep weigh?
Anywhere from 175 to probably 250.
How much weight might that team be able to pull?
The exact weight we don't know, although I did haul hay out of the field with them in the wintertime, and I pulled 1,400 pounds with two. So how many 6 or 8 would pull, I don't know. I've been tempted to try to make a pulling team out of them, but I haven't got to it.
The hitch is beautiful once they're all hitched up. How long does it take for you and your wife to hitch them up?
Roughly 45 minutes to hitch them, and to harness them it takes another 25, 30 minutes.
You're the driver. How difficult is it to drive that sheep hitch?
It's about like driving a team of horses,